When it comes to being well protected, nothing describes that term better than the crossbow. Then there's the limousine that carries the President of the United States. And in fact, that car is so robust and so armored that it's comparable to a tank, but with a touch of luxury. But what few people know is that there aren't just one or two identical limousines, but actually around 16 to 20 beasts available for transportation, protection for the President of the United States. And contrary to what it may seem, not every time the presidential motorcade passes by does it actually mean that the president is in one of the limousines. He might be in another car within the convoy, or he might not even be in any of the escort vehicles. It all depends on the level of threat that the Secret Service identifies at the location. The Beast, as it is popularly known, is a car that has several levels of the highest grade armor. It has several defensive countermeasures, including weapons and bombs on board, satellite phones, and an internal encrypted communication system that allows direct communication with the White House and the Pentagon. Countermeasure devices to prevent explosions, a poisonous gas detection system, and a fire extinguishing system. And it can deploy smoke screens and oil slicks to hinder anyone trying to pursue it. In addition, it has night vision cameras, radiation sensors, and a highly secure communication system to keep the president connected with the outside world. And it can be turned on and off remotely. And as if that weren't enough, 2 bags of the president's blood type are kept on board for emergencies. But actually, it's because of its multiple layers of armor that this car has been nicknamed the Beast. To begin with, the limousine is based on the chassis of a heavy-duty truck from General Motors and is manufactured by Cadillac, which is one of General Motors' own divisions. The current Beast, which carries President Biden, was delivered to the United States Secret Service in 2018. The exact weight of the limousine is known only by a few people alive, but it is estimated to be between 7,000 and 9,000 kilograms. And this excessive weight is due to its formidable armor. The chassis of the Beast is built with highly resistant materials, such as special steel, aluminum, titanium, ceramics, composite materials, and other high-strength composites. In some parts of the car, these layers of armor exceed about 20 centimeters in thickness. And this reinforced structure helps protect the vehicle against impacts, collisions, but mainly from gunfire of various calibers and explosions, especially explosions coming from underneath the car. The doors of the limousine have a thickness comparable to the door of a Boeing 757, and this thickness is due to the several layers of armor used, which are capable of withstanding bursts of high-caliber bullets as well as explosions. The Beast's windows don't roll down and are made of multi-layered glass. It is made up of layers of polycarbonate glass, additional layers of transparent and opaque materials, capable of withstanding gunfire and all kinds of threats to its integrity. These windows are extremely thick, and it is estimated that their thickness is 12.8 centimeters. Even if they are hit or damaged, they remain intact, maintaining the president's safety. In fact, once the Beast's doors are closed, the car becomes hermetically sealed, and you can't hear absolutely anything that's happening outside the car. But the Beast is equipped with exterior microphones and interior speakers, so its occupants can hear what's happening outside. And there's no point in having an extremely armored and resistant chassis if the tires aren't equally armored. And in the Beast, we can't neglect that part. In fact, the Beast tires are made from a material that combines special rubber and Kevlar, and they're capable of continuing to run flat, or even without tires, for dozens of kilometers after being hit and punctured by gunfire. That's because of the steel rims that line the inside of the tires. And maybe the last thing you would think is that the Beast, being a limousine, is off-road, but in fact it is the limousine. It has the ability to drive on rough terrain and off-road if necessary. And besides having four-wheel drive, this off-road capability is very important. And it was one of the requirements of the Secret Service during the construction of the car because it helps ensure the president's safety in any scenario. The Beast is only driven by a small, select group of drivers, who are Secret Service agents, handpicked and put through extensive training. And only the best of the best are qualified to sit behind the wheel of the limousine. In addition to that, there is a team of mechanics who are also Secret Service agents. Only they are authorized and allowed to work on the car for maintenance. In fact, only Secret Service agents and members of the president's official escort are authorized to get close to the car while the president is on the move. From point A to point B, there can be anywhere from 10 to 45 cars. This includes police cars in front, 2 identical limousines, one of which carries the president. These limousines even have the same license plate. 4 cars with Secret Service agents, one of which is the United States Secret Service Control Major Suburban, which is easy to identify because it's the only car with antennas on the roof. This car, besides providing security, has the mission of scrambling all kinds of signals. That is, signals that could detonate a remotely controlled bomb. These could be found along the route of the motorcade. The president's escort, the 2 limousines, and these 4 cars make up what's called the secure package. In other words, they're the most important vehicles in the entire escort. There's also the Hazardous Materials Mitigation Unit, which is a vehicle that contains equipment and personnel to respond in case of a chemical, nuclear, or biological attack. There are also ambulances, several other cars, and of course a number of motorcycles, but this is for travel between nearby locations within the United States. But what about when the president intends to visit another city within American territory? How is that done? Well, that's when things get much more interesting and much more expensive. Let's say the president is in Washington and intends to visit a farm in Kankakee, Chicago, which in fact he did in May 2022. To start, Marine One, which is the presidential helicopter, would land at the White House. In less than 10 minutes, the president is taken to Andrews Air Force Base, where Air Force One, the president's official plane, awaits him. Air Force One then takes off and takes the president to Chicago International Airport. From there to the final destination, it's just 1 hour and 19 minutes by car, plus another 1 hour and 19 minutes. That's too much time for the president to travel by car. In fact, the president flies aboard Marine One from Chicago International Airport to Bradley Airport in Kankakee. From there to the final destination, it's just a few minutes by car. He then gets into the Beast or another presidential car that will take him to the farm. But since Marine One, just like the Beast, appeared in Chicago, well, another Marine One had already been dispatched aboard a military plane and delivered to Chicago International Airport. The same was done with the Beast. This shows how a simple visit can become something so complex, and how these visits are very well planned by the Secret Service. In fact, whenever the president travels anywhere, the Secret Service always chooses to do this, that the president rides in the American presidential cars, in this case only in the Beast, and flies only in the American presidential planes, in this case Air Force One and Marine One. This prevents unforeseen events, ensures better control, and allows for a low probability of something going very wrong. Unfortunately, a lot of things and many details about the car are highly confidential, but for sure, the Beast is a car like no other.